Now you're someone who wants to study faster, retain more information for a longer period of time, and even use the information of course to get good grades. Maybe there's a way to work around the loads of work smarter and more efficiently. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how we can study smarter using the Feynman's technique. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Samuel, a second year medical student currently studying in Russia, and on this channel we talk about how we can be more productive, how we can study more efficiently and smarter, and generally my life as a medical student. So if you're up for videos like this, a sub to the channel will be a very amazing thing to do. In this video guys, I'm first going to be talking about what does it actually mean to work smarter. Then I'm going to be giving us an introduction into the Feynman's technique. Then why should we actually use the Feynman's technique? Then I'm going to be talking about the 3 steps on how we can use the Feynman's technique, and of course I'm going to be concluding the video talking about the most important thing to think about when we're actually studying. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a hardworking person is someone who does a lot of work always, and Google even has it that hard work actually means a great deal of work or endurance. Now, coming to understand this, we see that there are actually some things in our life generally that just require hard work. Going to the university itself requires hard work regardless of the course, because you'd have to go to lectures that are probably at uncomfortable time. You have to go through long hours of studying, long hours of assignment, or even pulling yourself out of a failure or pulling yourself out of a lack of motivation for actually studying. This in all itself is a great deal of work, and it's actually hard work, and there's probably no way to go through the university without passing through all or some of these steps or some of this great deal of efforts to actually put into work. Now, working smarter does not mean taking away the natural processes of doing things, but obviously making the natural processes yield a better result or work more efficiently for us. Now, getting the understanding of working smarter out of the way, we notice that studying is actually one of the most important things to do in school, and we can't take that away. And one of the best ways to actually have fun when we're studying is to make the studying efficient in itself and yield better results. And there are different approaches to studying, and there are different results to different type of people. And there's a very common quote that people actually say that if you can't explain it simply enough, then that means you don't understand it enough. And we understand that one of the bases of learning or studying is actually understanding the concept. And this is why today I'm going to be explaining how we can understand or learn a new concept smartly, efficiently, using the Feynman's technique. The Feynman's technique is actually attributed to an American theoretical physicist who was famously known for his work in quantum mechanics and other particular parts of physics, and was generally known as a great explainer due to his marvelous way of explaining some difficult concepts in physics and mathematics simply to people for them to understand it better. Now, you may ask yourself that why should we actually use the Feynman's technique? The Feynman's technique should actually be used because learning does not just happen by you skimming through pages of your textbook, cramming or memorizing some information and then having to pour it out to your school in a test or to pass an exam and all of that. But learning actually happens when we're able to get some form of information and we're able to explain it or even use it in different situations in our lives. Looking at the bigger picture of learning, we're not meant to just cram the information and pour it out to our school. We're meant to have this information by our side throughout our life and use the most important part of the information to actually use in our life to help us at particular situations in our lives. Now, I've put together 3 steps that can actually help us use the Feynman's technique very, very efficiently. The first is, of course, to study the concept, probably a sentence, a definition, a page, a concept, or even you could go bigger and study the whole topic, because we can't actually explain or learn what we don't know. So we obviously have to first go through the concept. The second step is that we're trying to explain this information we've just gotten to a friend, an imaginary friend, or if you're a student that loves taking notes, you could actually write down this information, or if you use active recall, you could actually jot down questions from this information that you're actually going to answer. Now, here's one thing we have to note to make this work well. We have to know that the person we're trying to explain to is actually someone of a lower level of understanding of this particular concept. So we're not just trying to cram the information and give it back to them word for word, because obviously they're not going to understand, but we're trying to make the information in a simpler form, or make it explain it in a simpler form for them to actually understand. And the third step is just for us to find out the particular parts of this information that was hard for us to explain, the particular parts that stopped us from explaining, or the particular parts that were even confusing to us when we're trying to explain, to jot them down, to write them as questions, and even to go back and study them so that we can come back and explain in a better form. One last thing we have to take note in all of this using this technique is that we're trying to explain this to probably a 4-year-old, and we know this person is probably far away in the level of understanding. So it's important for us to put at the back of our minds that we're trying to clear this particular person's doubts and trying to answer all of their whys, because that's probably going to be the most common question they're going to have to us when we're trying to explain this concept. Because if I try to explain homeostasis to a particular 4-year-old, to someone who doesn't know medicine or biology at all, they would ask me then why, or what is actually going to be the danger that's going to happen if there's imbalance in the system. And I'm obviously going to try to explain why, and they might also ask me, okay, why should the hormones be very important, or why, or how do they know when they are meant to work, or how do they know where to send the hormones to? So we're trying to clear all their doubts, and if we're able to answer every single question that comes to our mind in form of a 4-year-old person, and we're able to answer these questions and simplify the whole information or knowledge, then we'll obviously be able to retain the information for a longer period of time. Then we ourselves will be a better carrier of the information, will be a better explainer, because we now understand every single part of the information and we'll be able to answer every single question that comes from the information. One thing I'm very sure is that if we can incorporate this technique into our studying, whichever studying technique you've been using, if you can add this to your study technique, this would actually make studying much more efficient for you in a shorter time and would actually make you study smarter. And this is obviously the reason why our teachers can actually answer all of our questions, because they've been in this explanation business for so long. That is why they can obviously answer any question you have towards them on a particular concept, at least most teachers. And this obviously helps us to understand every single angle of the concept, because we can obviously answer every single question that comes from this concept, and this helps us to retain the information for a longer period of time, which is one of the things that we actually hope for or long for in studying. So that's been it. That's all for the short video. If you love this video, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed, so you don't miss out on any other video on this channel. So if you're ready to study, you can actually click up here for my playlist, my study with me playlist. You can study with me with any sound, any particular amount of hours. And if you've not watched this particular video, then you should click down here and watch the video, because of course there's some good stuff there. So that's been it. Once again, I'm Samuel, and catch you very soon on the next one. Peace.